So with fitness becoming a fad and ads for getting fit quick on display seemingly everywhere, it seems like the only way to lose weight, and by extension calories, was to do endless amounts of cardio, or at least a physically taxing activity. I was always under the impression that hitting the gym or running for hours on end was the only way to lose calories within a reasonable amount of time. Well, that's what I heard on one side. On the other hand, everything was about diet.
I've tried fad diets, powders, pills, still my weight's been up and down like a yo-yo.
I'd heard a ton about different kinds of diets and how they'll all help you watch your weight. But that begs the question, why are people like chess players rarely ever overweight when the bulk of their work is done sitting down?
You know what's incredible how much burns off energy is playing chess. They had these world-class chess players in these world championship events, and they found out they were burning thousands of calories just sitting there playing chess because they were all losing weight. And they're trying to figure out, why are these guys losing weight? Like, what's happening over the course of this tournament, of
they're
a
just
couple
sitting
of...
there.
But their brain is firing. Look at that, 6,000 calories.
And it's not just professional chess players. Even gamers and by extension streamers and esports stars all carried very slender frames. How and why is that? Well, the research behind that might change your perspective on calories and weight loss forever. It isn't just professionals. If you've ever sat at your computer for a binge watch of Netflix or gaming, it's possible that you could go 7 or 8 hours without eating. Well, research shows that mentally demanding activities do burn calories. Albeit not at an alarming rate, but essentially, mentally stimulating activities often boost your metabolic rate, which in turn can lead to burning calories at an increased pace. Typically though, it doesn't really burn more than 300 calories per day, which is minuscule compared to the chess grandmasters that can burn 6,000 calories in a day. When the body is at rest and not engaged in any activity besides the basics of breathing, digesting, and keeping itself warm, we know that the brain uses a startling 20 to 25% of the body's overall energy. That translates to 350 to 450 calories a day for the average man or woman, respectively. And during childhood, the brain is even more ravenous. In the average 5 to 6-year-old, the brain can use upwards of 60% of the body's energy. As a result, the brain happens to be the most energy-demanding part of the human body, even though it only accounts for approximately 2% of the total body weight. This, however, doesn't explain the insane amount of weight lost by a chess player. So what does? Well, it all comes down to the idea of cognitive difficulty. Cognitive difficult tasks are those that the brain can't solve easily using previously learned routines, or tasks that change the conditions continuously. This in turn forces the brain to adapt and innovate and work harder when trying to pick up new activities or deal with new changes that it hasn't faced before. As your brain gets used to doing things repeatedly, the energy demand wanes. Another key factor in the burning of calories is stress. Stress can play an integral part in causing weight loss and the loss of calories, such as in the case of Anatoly Karpov, one of the chess players in question. Karpov, in preparation for a chess tournament in 1984, as well as in competition, recorded a loss of 22 pounds over the last 5 months. Another competitor at the same tournament, Garry Kasparov, had also recorded unhealthy amounts of weight loss. So much so that the tournament officials decided to call the tournament off. Most recently, another grandmaster, Mikhail Antipov, had burned over 500 calories in less than 2 hours. So this is all a result of two things: cognitive difficulty, which we discussed earlier. Antipov's brain was working overtime, simply because he was forced to react to an opponent whose moves were unique. This real-time demand on the brain to process a ton of different information and variables at a rapid rate contributed heavily to his weight loss. And the second contributor, stress. Stress plays an important role, specifically in the build-up of the tournament itself. Stress can place a huge burden on a person, which in turn leads to weight loss and other complications. When the body is under stress, the sympathetic nervous system triggers the release of epinephrine, also called adrenaline. This temporarily boosts a person's heart rate, in turn causing breathing to speed up, which burns calories. Furthermore, stress affects the communication between the brain and the gastrointestinal system, making GI symptoms more apparent. That's why chess players, as well as people in heavily taxing, stress-inducing jobs, run the risk of rapid weight loss. This also appears to be specifically true in the case of professionals who are involved in a reactive activity, for example, one that expects them to read and process information, and subsequently react to it very quickly. It's also proven within other mentally demanding jobs that have a slower pace to them and don't result in people rapidly losing weight. The levels of adrenaline that are generated are generally much lower and their days are much more organized. For these reasons, they don't seem to exhibit an elevated heart rate or any of the other symptoms shown by a chess player, for instance. I suppose there's a reason why Anatoly Karpov didn't choose a desk job.